Welcome to the It's In You podcast by Renee Elliott. I'm here to help you find your balance and live your best life guilt-free. I don't believe there's a one-size-fits-all approach for health and fitness. We're all different and we need to find out what works for us. I'm passionate about helping women make realistic, long-term lifestyle changes that they will stick to and they'll be able to take with them forever. I don't believe in crazy diets or short-term fixes. We all need to find a life and a balance that suits our individual needs. I believe we need to dig deeper and work on our mindset first so we can be prepared to face any hurdle throughout your wellness journey. I'm here to give you the confidence and knowledge to do so. So welcome to the It's In You podcast by Renee Elliott, because it is in you. Hello, and welcome back to the It's In You podcast. So today I want to talk firstly about my new program that is coming out, which is called Mind Over Muscle. And I'm going to actually go through a little section today from the Mind Over Muscle program that will give you a little taster of some of the things that we do. So in the Mind Over Muscle program, I've been a personal trainer for over 12 years. And during my time as a personal trainer, I have seen lots of people make dramatic changes and transformations, but I've also watched lots of people not be able to maintain that transformation. And I've watched them do so well in certain things or come so far, and then they get to this point, life happens, they hit a speed bump or something happens that's unexpected. They feel that they have failed and then they give up. And the truth was that they were so close. The other thing I see is people are, again, they're on a weight loss journey and they get to this point and they feel it's not happening fast enough. They feel that the results aren't as exactly as they expected. So then they feel that the program or whatever they're doing isn't working, and then they give up. And the thing is that they give up and then a year later, they're still in the same position. Or even worse, that they've put on more weight or feel worse about themselves. And the biggest thing that I've noticed through all my years as a trainer is the people that were the most consistent with their results, they've been able to lose weight and keep it off, were the ones that worked on their mindset first. So I've developed my program, Mind Over Muscle, to help you work on your mindset first. So we can work on your mindset first before delving into any type of program. By the end of the program, you will have an action plan that you'll be able to look at, implement and putting that into place to get you on your journey. Any weight loss and any long-term weight loss, we have to do it in stages. It has to be in stages. We have to be able to look at all the parts that are unique to you and make something work for you. And that's what we start doing in the Mind Over Muscle program. So because you get this program from someone else, it's follow this and your friend did it and they lost weight that way. But the thing is that you're different to them, and there's no one size fits all program. It's got to be tailored to you. That's why I'm really passionate about this program, because I've seen so many people give up and feel that they were the one that was the problem and feel like they were the failure when it's not. And when we can work, when you can understand all the aspects that go into it, when you can understand yourself a little bit better, then you can find something that you can stick to for life. You will be able to lose weight, maintain it, keep it off, and do it all through the challenges that life throws at you, because we also set ourselves up thinking that everything's going to be perfect and I'm going to start at the perfect time where I've got, nothing that's going to get in my way. But life's not perfect. Speed bumps are inevitable. Hitting roadblocks, things that you don't expect, it's totally inevitable. Through the Mind Over Muscle program, I teach you how to deal with them, and so that you don't give up when that happens, and that we look to embrace those speed humps. And because once they happen, it's good, right? That's me hit a roadblock, I've got through it, and I'm going to keep moving forward. Where the times you've hit those roadblocks before, you've hit them and then you've given up. I don't want that for you. The Mind Over Muscle program will be coming out very, very soon. I will post a link that you will be able to join the waiting list if you want to be the first one to run through the program. Now, for my first program, I will be doing it at a discounted price because it is my first round of people being able to go through the program. So do make sure that you are the first to join the program because it will be half price, and this is the only time that I will offer it at half price, but it is only for the first 20 people to join. So half price, that means it is at $99 instead of $199, and it's a 4-week program that you will come out of it at the end understanding yourself a little bit better. You will understand maybe some things that you've not known about yourself, some things that you might have not realized have stopped you on your journey. And you will come out with an action plan of how to move forward after you've gone through the program. Okay, so that's enough about that. Today, I want to talk about forgiveness, and this is something that we talk about. It is a large and important component on your wellness journey to look at forgiveness, and it's often something that's overlooked. Forgiveness is actually seen as a form of self-care. So because it releases you from the anger and resentment that you might be feeling towards somebody that's wronged you, but it's also releasing you of that you might feel towards yourself. And what I find is that sometimes people might have the perfect plan. So you might have this perfect plan. You've got this perfect fitness regime to follow. You've got this perfect plan, and you still feel like you're not stuck. You're stuck. You feel like it's still not working. And your friend, she did it and she got the results and everything else. But that's why I said everything's unique to you. And there are some things that are that can be there, and they're holding us back, and they're really holding us back. And it's deep down, and you don't realize how much it is bogging you down. And I want to say, if you're hearing me say this and something comes to your mind, then look at that, okay? Even if you think, oh, that's silly. If something comes to your mind when I say there's something deep down that's holding you back, it's probably something that I would suggest to look at. So we want to really look at forgiveness, and we want to look at forgiving yourself. So I had somebody that we had been going through with this, and she had to go through kind of some of the touch. She went through it 40 times. So it's like looking at, forgiveness and journaling it out and working it out 40 times, and she couldn't work out why she was still feeling. And in the end, she'd forgotten to actually forgive herself and to let go of the guilt that she was holding for herself. And as soon as she did that, she felt instant relief. She felt really instant relief. Now, why do you think I'm talking about forgiveness when we're talking about weight loss or our overall wellness? Like I said, when you are holding on to anger or anything towards somebody else, or someone that's hurt you, or they've done the wrong thing by you, it will end up coming out in other ways in your life, and it plays more on you than what you even realize it does. And what I want you to do is I want you to learn to let go of this stuff, and letting go is not as easy as just saying I'm letting it go, but it also can be that simple. It is a choice. But when we have these grudges and these feelings of anger towards somebody who's done the wrong thing by you, it really does overflow into other relationships. So you might be somebody that you might have a temper or a short fuse with your current loved ones. You might struggle to trust again, and that could be holding you back in that way. And you might have difficulty in building new relationships because you have, we're not trusting of that person. And forgiveness, when we learn to forgive, it can have lots of other health benefits. So a big factor that I find is holding people back is stress. So it's looking at stress, and, so forgiving yourself, forgiving the person that's wronged you, or the person that's not made you feel good about yourself or hurt your feelings, any of those things, it's is linked to reducing your stress levels. So because you've let go of that, because honestly, it boils down into you. And when you start to let go of that, reducing your stress levels has been linked to lowering your blood pressure, reducing anxiety, having a better sleep, and improving your self-esteem. So there's lots of benefits for it all around. Now, what I want to say is when you're looking at forgiveness and forgiving somebody for something that they've done wrong to you, some people first say, I don't want to do that, because that's making it okay. It's making, you might believe by forgiving them that you're accepting, you're forgetting what's happened. You're implying the pain that you're currently feeling or the things that they've done is just no big deal because you're forgiving it. Or people worry that forgiving people automatically then means that you can resume that previous relationship. But really, forgiveness, it simply means letting go of the anger and hurt and the desire for vengeance. It's really just letting go of that. And the biggest thing is that you are doing it for yourself. You're not doing it for that person. You are doing it for yourself, and you're letting go of it for you. Just to really understand that the forgiveness part is for you, not for anyone else. When we're not forgiving, when we're still holding on to hurt or anger, you may have said, I'm never going to forgive them. I'll never forgive you for that. You are holding these emotional wounds open. You're not letting them heal and close for us to move on. You're holding on to resentment. And this can really help you from stopping you from finding peace. And it can also be the missing link as to why you can't get that weight loss that you're really looking for, because this stress and anger and distress is all still building up inside of you. So again, when you are forgiving someone, you are not saying that everything what they did was okay. You are deciding to let go of the burden of the stuck and the unresolved emotions. And it's really, really important to realize that you're doing it for yourself. And when I first, a few years ago, I've been working on myself, and I really came to a realization that, I was waiting for people to change or things to happen, but it's only me. I can only focus on myself, and I can only do things for myself. And, I heard this concept of forgiveness and whatever else. And I was just like, kind of just grudged it, put it to the side and didn't think about it. Didn't really think about it anymore. And then, there was still this feeling of that something wasn't quite right. And there was things that was happening in my life. And I thought, again, so it took me a long time to realize that I needed to forgive and let go of certain things in my life, because, I'd heard the concept and I kind of just put it to the side. And, I heard it a couple of times. And it took me those couple of times to hear it before I actually thought I'm going to do this. And the biggest eye-opener for me was when I realized, and it was with a family member, and I realized that it was causing me more trouble or more problem than what it was causing them. And what my expectation upon what I expected from them, I had to realize it was never going to happen. I had to realize it was never going to happen. And that I made a conscious choice to, there's things that had been done, and I just made this choice that I couldn't change what had happened. I could only change how I acted in the future. And when I realized that it was bothering me, and that it was actually causing me distress, it wasn't something that was on the forefront of my mind all the time, but it was something that, at family occasions and whatever, that it was always present, or during certain times of the year where I would remember things or remember that the relationship was not how I expected it to me, and that would make me sad. And I just had to accept it. And I really had to accept it. I had to forgive the behavior from both parties, from me as well. And I chose to move on. And can I tell you, it was so freeing. It was really, really freeing. And that's what I want for you, because I guarantee you it's bogging you down. so much more than what you realize. And like I said, if any of this is resonating with you, or if you're hearing this, don't do what I did and don't ignore it for so long. The thing is, it took me a while. I had to sit with it and work out. Didn't think it really did bother me. And then it came to, it kept coming up, and it kept coming up in my thoughts, I guess. And then I realized, I was like, okay, it is actually weighing me down more than I realized. And now that I made a conscious choice to let go of it, it feels like a big weight off my shoulders. And it doesn't affect me as much as it did affect me previously. As in, it doesn't affect me as in when, like I said, certain dates would remind me of things, or when we're at family events, any of those things, that doesn't affect me anymore. It doesn't bother me, and I feel really good about myself in that whole situation. And that's what I want for all of you. When you are looking to forgive, if this is something that is resonating with you, I really want you to think about it. But I want you to understand that forgiveness is an inside job. So you can't fake it. We can't say, I've heard Renee say that I should just forgive the person that's done. So we could talk about somebody cheating, which I guess is an obvious hurt. And you say, I'm just going to forgive them for cheating. But deep down, you don't really forgive them. The thing is, your body knows. And if you will still be holding on to some of that hurt and anger or any of that things deep down, and you're just suppressing it more. So maybe you're just not ready now, and that's totally fine. But when, I want you to think about, if you're thinking about forgiveness and thinking that maybe letting go could be something that could help you on your wellness journey. When we feel good about ourselves, when everything's kind of lining up in a good way, weight loss is easy. But when other things are bogging us down, when we have this hurt that pops up at times we don't know, you're more inclined then to emotionally eat. You're more inclined then to go, I'm not going to exercise because I can't be bothered. You're more inclined to have some of those destructive type behaviors that are going to keep you exactly where you are. So that's why it's really important to just let go of this stuff. And that was the biggest thing for me. I was letting go for me because it was holding me down, and I didn't want that anymore. And I was ready. Once I realized I had all these things holding me down, I was ready to let go of all of them. And whatever I needed to do, I wanted it because I didn't want to be bogged down anymore. So what I want you to think about is, I want you to think about who are you doing this for? So are you forgiving this for someone else? Are you doing it for your children? What are you, who are you doing this for? Because it has to be for you. And like I said, your body knows, and it will pick up. So I really ask you to really, really think about, who are you doing this for, and make sure that the forgiveness, that it really is for you. The thing is that we want to look to get a bit of perspective. So you want to get perspective into the past, what happened, the event, and sometimes it's thinking, get some perspective into the event. And maybe it could be seeking that the situation that you were in is, maybe it didn't seem the best at the time. But maybe it's actually brought out the best, it's brought out something better for you. Or maybe if you're right inside of it now, then you'll see that it will actually be the best thing for you. I was made redundant when I was pregnant, when I just had Cooper, and he was 8 weeks old, and it was rejection. I was like, what am I going to do? I had an 8-week-old baby. I still wanted to work for my own mental health and everything else. It was unexpected and all of those things, but me getting made redundant was the best thing to happen because it made me do what I'm doing now, but I didn't see that at the time. So that's what I'm saying. Just put it into perspective about maybe the event, and look at the perspective of what forgiving would actually give you. And the other thing I want you to ask yourself is, are you willing to take the necessary action to forgive? And it's also important to understand that forgiving, it doesn't mean you have to go and talk to that person, which is also something that some people find as a bit of a worry or a blocker for them to let go. You don't have to even speak to that person. It can be just, it's a process that you can do on your own, and you don't need You don't need anyone else. You don't really even need to consult anyone else. It can be just a totally, like I said, it's an inside job, so it's totally something that you can do. But it also might mean that you might need to do more work. So if it's something that you can't do on your own, you might need to go and seek professional help. And can be a really hard step to take. But I guarantee you the other side of it is so worth it. And holding on to stuff and, letting the anger still build up to you because you don't want to go and face or talk to a professional about it, it's just going to keep you stuck. So we really want to make sure that we're willing to do the necessary work when we make this decision that we are going to start to forgive. So when you are feeling ready, that you are ready to forgive, there's a few things that you can think about. So especially if you struggle to do it, I would really recommend to talk to somebody that you trust. So you could talk about your feelings. So it can be a family member, it can be a close friend, it can be just someone that you trust and you feel like you can talk to them about it. The other thing I recommend, that if you don't want to talk to somebody, sometimes I've done this before, is I just talk in my voice memos, and I just record it. And, sometimes just the fact of talking it, I'm not actually talking to a certain person, but I'm just talking it out loud in my head. It really gives me a lot of clarity. And as I said before, we want to look at the bright side. So there will be one, like you might not see it now, but if we use their example of a relationship, and somebody's cheated on you, then yes, what they did was wrong, and the cheating wasn't a nice thing, and that would be very hurtful. But maybe the cheating's actually brought up that maybe things under the surface weren't working correctly anyway. Or maybe if they've cheated on you and you have worked through it, then maybe the fact that you have worked through it, so it's just try to look at, there will be some form of bright side to this. And even if you can't see it at the time, like I said, when I was made redundant, it felt pretty horrible, but it was actually the best thing to happen to me. If you're struggling to forgive, I want you to think about forgiving smaller things first. So once you start forgiving the smaller things, you will start to become on a bit of a roll on it, and then you'll start to see how good you can feel. And the other biggest thing is, don't forget to forgive yourself. So I want you to really think about, we are forgiving others for things that they may have done to us, the wrongs, way that they've made us feel, but we really need to forgive ourselves too. So lots of people tend to blame themselves for things. They might think that they're to blame because they might have feel like they put themselves in the situation or any of those things. But the other thing is, you really need to let go of all of that and forgive yourself. And do not forget to forgive yourself, because that's really, really important. And really letting go of, other people I've seen them, they feel angry or annoyed at themselves because they're not where they think they should be. They feel like they're working really hard, and why don't I just have enough willpower to do this? And why can't I just stay on this diet, or any of those things? And you are so hard on yourself, and you forget that to actually stop beating it up on yourself, and let's forgive yourself. You are where you've got to, and this is where you are today. No one should be to blame. Let's just start from scratch today and look at moving forward, and just start slowly chipping away. And when you do that and we let go of it all, it's so much easier to keep moving forward. It really, really is. Any type of healing process, it can't begin until you forgive yourself, and you free yourself of any of that anger and resentment and disappointment that all comes with being unforgiving or unforgiveness. Like it is just really important to focus on forgiving yourself. I always think about, what can I learn from this? So there's always a lesson, and I think, what can I learn from this? And if I can't pick up what I've got to learn, I know it's going to come back and bite me on the bum. So I always try to think about something. So everything is a learning lesson for you. And if you think to take what's the lesson that you learn from, and how can you be different because for whatever happens in the future, and move forward. And it's a really freeing experience, and it's good to do. So we've decided that we're ready to forgive, and now you're like, well, okay, I'm ready to forgive. I've made sure I'm doing it for myself. I've put it into perspective. I've thought about it. What can I do? So you can do, like I said, you do not have to speak to the person or see the person. I know when I was doing my stuff, I didn't tell anybody. I didn't need to. I didn't need to go and have a discussion about it or anything else. I made a decision myself. I had thought about it for a long time, and I made a decision to let go. And I made a very conscious decision when I went back to events and things like that with family members that I was going to act differently. And because the way I was acting was still holding on to it, and it was keeping it burning or keeping it there in me. So I did just make a conscious choice, but I know that that's not what is good for what is happens with everybody. The best way is journaling. So getting it out on paper, forgiving yourself, forgiving them, and you know, writing things out on paper. The thing is, when we also write it all out, then you can choose what you want to do. So things like I've seen people write it out and burn it, and they've done things like that. They've put it in the written letters and put it in the ocean. They've written letters and just ripped them up, you know. So it can be it can be that kind of process of making the decision. And you might need to do this a few times. Like I said, the person did it 40 times. She needed to do it 40 times, and you know, before she you know, realized that she had done it. And the thing is that you can recognize, maybe you thought you let go of it, and you recognize, and it pops back up, and you're like, oh, maybe I need to journal this out again or think about it again. Journaling is a really, really great process. So my number one tip for letting go, I would suggest, is to journal it out. You can obviously speak to somebody, a professional that is a professional in that field, because again, I know there's lots of complexity, you know, cases and all of that, and it might not be as easy as just letting it go as what it was in my case. So and also I was seeing someone professional, so that did really help me also. I just want you to start thinking about, there's more other things that can be bogging you down, and it's a big thing that we go through in the Mind Over Muscle program, because I want you to be in the right mindset to excel in your weight loss, to be able to just keep chipping away and get to where you want to be. But I don't want you to yo-yo anymore. I don't want you to lose weight, gain it back. You know, I want you to just start chipping away, and the weight comes off. And when you have stressful situations, or you have something that reminds you of a trigger, or something that reminds you of something that you've been through, you know that you've let it go, and it will not affect you in the same way that it does. And a big step to that is forgiveness. So some things that you could say to yourself, you know, big thing is positive affirmations, and we can have affirmations on forgiveness. And you can say things like, I release my past so that I can step into my future. And we want to understand that the past is called the past for a reason. And what you've done is in the past. There's nothing that you can do to change it. We accept your mistakes and the mistakes that have happened to you, and move on with the idea that you're going to be a better person in the future. And it's really big. Other things is, you know, we can say some affirmations like, I accept that I did the best I could at that time, and now I know better, I will do better. The person that you were then, and you may have done something, you weren't as wise as what you are now. And, you know, use your mistakes as an opportunity to grow, and don't see it as something to just continue to beat yourself up on. I forgive myself, and I'm ready to move on. And when we make this conscious decision to forgive yourself, if we don't make the conscious decision, it can be really, really challenging to move on. And self-forgiveness really gives you the freedom that you can move on. I acknowledge my faults, and I completely forgive myself. So acknowledge that you do have faults. We are not perfect. We're not meant to be perfect. We are never going to be perfect. And you forgive yourself for that. We forgive others all the time, but we're really, really always really tough on ourselves. So show yourself some grace as you show to others, because you are worth it. So that's just a couple of things that you might be able to say or write down or think about when you are looking to forgive. So we are just looking to let go of anything that is holding you back. and look also for yourself or anyone that is around you. And like I said, if you've heard this and something that pops in your head, that's the thing that you need to work on first. So let's work on that, and let's really look to let go and forgive, because it is freeing and it is a really important step in looking to move forward. So make sure that if you know anyone that this may help, please share, because it really helps if we share the podcast, it can get it out to more people and we can have more people feeling good about themselves. And then if you have found this helps you, please take the time to leave a 5-star review, because again, that will help my podcast grow and help me get out to more people so I can get my information out to them and help them, because that is really, really important and it's something I'm passionate about. So I'm going to love you and leave you now. I will speak to you all again next week. And please, if you have resonated with this and if you have done anything to forgive, please let me know. I'd so love to hear. Thanks for listening to the It's in You podcast. I hope you've been able to find this information of use to you. If you know someone who will benefit from listening to this podcast, please share. Make sure you share it with them so we can continue to spread our message and help empower women to have the bodies that they desire and still enjoy their life too. Make sure that you subscribe to our podcast so that you can be the first to know when a new podcast is released. If you do enjoy this podcast, please take the time to leave a 5-star review. It would be truly appreciated. Leaving reviews is one of the only way to help grow and share my message. If you do so, please make sure you take a screenshot, tag me in it and share it onto any of our socials. And if you send us a DM, I'll be able to send you a free gift straight to your inbox. Remember that you've got this and you can do anything that you set your mind to, because it is in you. Much love, Renee.